Hey, hey, I got my pal here. Hey, and guess what? Guess what? There's your people. There's your people over there. You care? You're not even concerned in the least, are you? But I guess I am. Hi, everybody. Hey, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Education Center in Far West Texas with Cascade the Wonder Dog and Shasta the Wonder Goat towering over us here. Thought I'd do a vlog about just kind of what's going on around here. Now, if you're new and you've come to this video just because some keyword brought you here, thanks for coming. We are going to talk about things that have been going on here at the ranch for the people that have been following what we're doing. So this one may not give you any insight on how to do blank or how to live sustainably, but it will show you some of the things that we're doing to live sustainably here in really the most inhospitable desert in North America. And yes, it's more inhospitable than Death Valley. We don't have water. Death Valley, you dig down a foot or two and you have water. Shasta's come to see us, which is where I'm going to start the vlog. How about we start with those new things, those horrible goats, motorcycles, and sailboats all have one thing in common, and that's that you have two happy days when you own them. One is the day you buy them, and two is the day you sell them. These goats here, though, have been a lot different. We had one goat before that was a pain in the butt, but these goats have been a little bit different because they're a lot of fun and they're very much like dogs. Now, the two billies that we have, and I'm going to get behind the camera and walk around in just a moment, to me, they're a bit aloof. Even to Debbie, they're aloof, but they're trying to be friendly and happy. Rather, they're trying to be friendly, but they just don't seem to know how. I don't know whether it's a male goat thing or whether it's them. And by the way, I guess the correct terminology for these goats is bucks and does, but to me that sounds like deer. I heard somebody on YouTube calling them bucklings and ewelings, and that's kind of silly sounding too. So I don't know what to call them. We'll call them the boys and the girls in this video. Let me get behind the camera, and I'm going to walk around and show you a few of the things that we've been doing and give you an idea of the project that Cascade, Debbie, and I have to do today. And we'll go from there before I get loved to death by this gigantic wonder dog. Let me up. Now, from behind the camera, I'm just going to show you the goats that we have and talk a little bit about them just very briefly. We don't know anything about goats, so it's silly for me to do a video that kind of looks like it might be a how-to or something for beginners to watch and try to learn because we're beginners. But we did read. Again, reading and going to YouTube videos is how I learn everything. I've gone to, probably 40, 45 YouTube videos on raising dwarf Nigerian goats. And, what little I might mention that sounds like I know something comes from that and also from a lot of a lot of reading that I've researched that I've done on the internet. So you can't have one goat, which that one there, we were going to get him for breeding. You can't have one without having a second one because they've got to be kept separate from the girls, so I'm told. So we got two boys. I won't tell you all their names. I did say Shasta. That little one, though, I called him Punchinello after an old Eddie Dean song in one of his movies. And if you don't know who Eddie Dean is and don't know the song Punchinello, look them up. They're fun, but only listen to the Eddie Dean Punchinello song. But anyhow, I built them a little shelter. They need a little bit more shade than that, but we are going to expand their room. Over here, I've just taken some stuff and made them a little jungle gym out of it. They do occasionally try to get on that barrel. That's going to be, we're going to use that for something later, but they do occasionally try to get on that barrel. And they're just fun. If you've ever watched goats, they're just kind of fun. These are supposed to be dwarf Nigerians that are dairy goats. Now, they're probably poorly bred ones. We're not going to show any animals, and just because you're not showing isn't an excuse for totally abandoning the standard, but these goats come from stock that's been raised here locally. So like when I tease about my Chihuahuan Desert chickens, these are Chihuahuan Desert goats. So they're well suited, generationally speaking, for this area. And the girls we were going to make them a separate pen. Now it looks like we're just going to keep them running with the chickens and, well, with the poultry.
Maybe not because of the ducks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the ducks are a little bit slow and they can get stomped. But we've still got time yet because the pit has to be filled in back there. And that's part of what we're going to show you right next. I'm not sure about the light because the sun's right up here, but welcome to what appears to be my sanctuary. I've got my chair out here and I seem to come here when I want to get away from everything right now. Listen to the water falling. Kind of nice. But it does serve a function, and that's when we get the aquaponics running, we're going to have a lot of falling water as opposed to air stones. We're going to have a lot of falling water aerating. We're getting a tremendous amount of aeration here in this tank, and yes, I see the green. We don't have any fish yet, so there's nothing to take the algae out. But we're going to have falling water here and falling water from the flood beds, one to the other. Probably a good 18 inches of fall between each flood bed to create air, so I don't have to get a separate pump for air stones. Right now in the spring, when we're running the brooder inside with a light, the nursery outside with a light, and the incubator, along with the pumps and everything else, we're running right at our maximum on electricity, so we don't have any electric to spare. So, although it's only going to be like a March-April thing every year, we probably aren't going to put any additional pumps for air stones unless we absolutely have to. But anyway, out here, I have a little bed that I planted that I put lemongrass, 2 kinds of basil, and Chinese celery in. I have a pot that I just planted, so it's not even worth showing you, with artichokes in it, and a couple of little pots here with yard-long beans. I love the yard-long beans. But I'm going to get behind the camera and show you what's sprouting already. Now remember, this is the 29th of March. So it's just before, like you folks up in the Frost Belt, April 5th to the 9th or 10th, I believe, is your best time to plant your above-ground crops. I've got my, I did everything in the March waxing moon, and then in the February waning moon, I put the in-ground crops, which for us was just onions and potatoes this year. But I'll show you these because we're coming up on your best time, and this will be posted before the 5th of April. If you want to plant stuff, hold on, because they know what the moon does. They've had 4 billion years to learn. All right, there's not much to show you here. We'll just zoom in a little bit. I've got my basil just coming up, planted from seed, and if you look very carefully, I'll try to zoom in here. I don't know, just watch me panning. I've got some Chinese celery coming up. Now that's not Chinese water celery, it's just Chinese celery. Then over here in the water feature, in the pond, or whatever we're going to call it, I finally got the water level right so that the stones show so we can step up. Above the surface now is a Chinese water celery. It still needs the water to be a little bit warmer 24 hours a day before it's going to go nuts and grow. But it has grown, in 3 weeks, it's grown about 3 inches, so that's pretty good. And then the rest of the things are still below ground. I don't know if they've germinated or not. And we have our onions, some cilantro, some beautiful daikon radish that I let go to seed. We're going to actually plant these to create daikon radishes. Onions, chives, and a horrible mess that has to be cleaned out today because over in this area, I am going to build a raised bed for our tomatoes. We have lovely purple Cherokee tomatoes coming up, only about 6 of them. But we'll put the tomatoes and a few other things in there. So let me show you what else we're doing. Well, one thing you could tell from the goats was that this area is completely fenced in now, which I think I showed that in the last video. Everything's fenced in. The chickens and ducks are in. The fence is 8 feet high. And every day when I clean out the mixer, I throw a bunch of broken glass, which we have a lot of, and some rocks in the mixer to clean it out. The rocks clean the mixer. Dump that in, and that's something like up in the north we used to call bitch ice, that ice that just began to freeze when the pond froze. We call this bitch concrete because it hardens up like concrete, but not quite as hard because it's got a lot of water in it. I pour that on the bottom of the fence, and it goes on both sides about like that. I mount it up, and it's holding the bottom of the fence in. Not so noisy here, but there we go with a little bit. It holds the bottom of the fence in and makes us pretty much coyote-proof, or at least coyote-resistant, to the point where these guys will start yelling, and then out comes the man with the gun and the coyotes run. So that's what we're after mainly. But therein, we've put a wall up here, and I'm going to get behind the camera. I want to show you the wall I've been working on. It's still, you can, I believe, see this part that's open. They still can escape through there, but they really don't escape right now. But I'll have this done by Monday. Today is actually Friday. I don't work on Friday because I go into town. But I'll have this done at the end of the day Monday. We'll have this wall completely up. Then this whole area is going to be escape-proof for everybody. Got a lot of stuff and trash to move because we're finishing up. Every time I do a video now, we're going to be finishing some of the 150 things that are started here, and I'll be cleaning up and straightening up. Finally, 9 long years it's been, but we're getting there. And those of you that have been with us since the beginning, thanks. And those of you that are thinking about maybe subscribing, do. I don't make any money if you do, but you might learn something, and I appreciate the support. It does keep me going when these 66-year-old bones get up and feel terrible in the morning, and they do a lot of mornings. Let me get behind the camera and show you the wall a little bit better. Well, here's a bit better view of the wall, and I'll walk up on it right now. One thing you can see are all those necks sticking out at you. That's because we've only been working on one side of the double wall. When you're building one of these, you can do it with the neck sticking out, which has its own beauty, and a lot of people like that, either inside the building or outside. Or you can do a double wall, which is what we have here. And you just pour dirt or leftover bitch concrete in there, or in our case, we use all the cans and stuff that we can't burn, goes in between the walls. And it makes you a real nice wall. It's a thermal barrier. It transfers heat and cool nicely. And it's fun. Just one heck of a lot of work to make a wall in a chicken coop. But as I've said many times, it's a labor of love. It's not necessarily the fastest way. Let's move on. Welcome to the nursery. This is the back half of the nursery, or the nursery part of the nursery, where we have 110 of the Cornish cross meat birds, that new strain that I have been talking so much about that really took me away from hatching my own. I've got 110 of them in here, and we're going to raise them up, some of them for us, but mostly for the CSA, the co-op, that people around here are joining so that they can get delicious chicken meat instead of that hormone and steroid and saltwater infused stuff from the grocery store. This is this half of the nursery, and in the other half, in this half of the nursery, hiding behind their pallet, is a mixture of other chicks, which I can't see. There we go, got them flushed a little bit. We have a mixture of the ISA brown egg layers, which are the brown and tan colored ones that you see, and then the other ones, which will be the white, you know, and the barred rock looking birds. Those are the ones that we hatched here, and these guys are just about ready to turn loose in the main population. The ISA browns, there's 11 of them, and they're going to be egg layers for our flock, because this last winter Many of our birds were old, and with them free-ranging, the older birds, some of them we did lose 2 coyotes. We don't get a lot of attrition, but the old birds seem to get banished, and when they get banished, they're coyote bait. So we're replacing the hens. And if you looked at the video so far, you would have seen some of our hens seem to have bare backs. It's an excellent indicator that there's too many roosters. Now, I'm not going to kill the roosters we have. We saved them for their genes, but we are getting a lot more hens. These are all hens out here, and we already have a number of young ones, like that one there. I think there's about 15 of them that I've turned loose already in the general population because they're big enough to fend for themselves. Most of the rest of them are down there by the goats, but we're in the process of rebuilding our egg-laying flock right now. That's what spring is for. That's the whole idea behind spring is new growth, new opportunities, and so that's what we're doing. We have 4 levels of poultry growing right now here at the Eco Ranch. And those 4 levels will be the adolescents I just showed you that are out there, the ones in the second half of the nursery, the meat birds, and they're strictly meat birds. They're going to spend their whole life in there, but that's the 3rd generation. The 4th generation are some runner ducks that we just got. They're in the brooder right now, and number 5 is coming on in a few days, about 4 days. And then the 5th generation is coming, and that's some geese. Now, I got geese and I got the runner ducks strictly as yard ornaments for out here. There's also some turkeys coming. That's just going to be something to make this a pretty little poultry farm to look at, because honestly, once the construction's done, I don't have much to do except raise poultry and vegetables. And behind me here, I think you can see the sunlight's kind of funny. The travel trailer, that's going away next week. We're pulling that out and putting it out in the campground, going to finish these walls here. We're off and running, so each and every video I do, I will be finishing a project at long last. Yay! Got some help coming tomorrow, and that's the vlog for right now. So I guess there's nothing else to show you. There is, but I got to stop it somewhere, and why not here? So, thank you for watching. If you're new and you stuck this out, the end card is going to show you an opportunity, give you an opportunity to subscribe to the channel. I'm not so angry now as I was in the earlier videos. I'm still angry, but I'm directing the anger towards teaching sustainability out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Education Center, which is what we're going to be, and we are open to have people come and stay and help us work, as long as you come and help us and observe our rules, which are very simple rules. Write me, comment if you're interested, I'll get back to you, and otherwise, until then, on behalf of Cascade the Wonder Dog, Sherman the One-Eyed Toothless Dog, and all the animals in the zoo. Oh, that's an old Detroit Zoo song. Anyway, on behalf of all of us, it's Robert Earl, Cascade the Wonder Dog, saying, see you later.